The Charlotte Ledger Podcast is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Tony Messia with the Charlotte Ledger, and you're listening to the Charlotte Ledger Podcast. Check out our newsletters and subscribe to them at thecharlotteledger.com. Today's podcast is part of a series we're calling Career Boost, in which we talk to experts about different ways to level up your skills to advance in your career. I hope you find these discussions to be helpful and loaded with practical tips. Our Charlotte Ledger newsletter also has pointers from these experts in written format as well. You can find those at thecharlotteledger.com. This podcast is a recording of a conversation I had with Amy George. She's a senior public relations strategist and the founder of By George Communications. She's also a LinkedIn expert and offers consulting services to companies and individuals on how to get better at LinkedIn. For a lot of us, LinkedIn's kind of an afterthought, but Amy makes the point that we should really think of it as a 24/7 billboard about ourselves. And if there's a billboard about you, don't you want it to be as good as it can be? She gives lots of pointers, what sort of things to post, mistakes you want to avoid, and so on. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Amy, welcome.
Hey, Tony, great to be here.
Well, thanks for talking with me today. We're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn and some of the best practices on LinkedIn. And I was just remembering, when LinkedIn first came out, it seemed like I remember being really skeptical of it. Obviously, fast forward 15 years or whatever, here we are. And it's a major way to, telegraph what's going on in your professional life. I know you work a lot with different clients on ways that people can improve their LinkedIn profiles and improve their LinkedIn presence. But what would you say? Why is this important? Why is it important to have a good presence on LinkedIn?
Well, I agree with you that back in 2003 or when it started, it was something that people only did when they wanted a job. And so you kind of knew when your colleagues were looking for jobs because all of a sudden they might be popping up on LinkedIn. But it is more than that now. And I always tell people it's kind of like your 24/7 business card. People have to ask for your resume, but your LinkedIn is always up there for people to look at, to find out who you are and what you're about. And so it's your brand, it's your 24/7 business card. It makes people hopefully want to know you better.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about sort of what you see as you are on LinkedIn, you're working with people, to improve their LinkedIn presence. What are some of the common mistakes or things that you're like, ooh, they should really do that better?
On the profile themselves, I would say the most common is not keeping it current, kind of letting it get away from you, not posting new jobs or new roles, not expanding on your role in terms of highlighting wins or successes that you've had in that particular job, just kind of not keeping your own profile current. And so then they'll bring in, someone like me to revamp their profile. And it's a mess. It's not telling a story. And that actually reminds me, often they don't have a story on their LinkedIn, which that story is in the about section. And if they have one, sometimes it's just a laundry list of corporate jargon, of detail-oriented, results-driven.
Change maker? Are there change makers?
Change maker, able to navigate complex organizations, just a laundry list of things versus a story. So missing a story and being outdated, I think, are the number one things.
So why is it important to tell a story? Why not just say, hey, here's what I did and boom, boom, boom?
Well, I think we all connect with people based on stories. Like when we're at a cocktail party, we want to hear, someone else's story. Stories are kind of what brings someone to life. So when I'm writing someone's story, I always imagine that I'm writing like a mini business profile of the person, like a snapshot. There's like 60 to 70%, like what makes them cool at work. And the balance is humanity, like what do they like to do in their free time? Or what's a fun fact? This person does karaoke in their free time. Like it's giving people also icebreakers so that when they meet you or they'll be like, oh, you went to Ohio University? I didn't know that. I did too. Or, oh, you sing, in a band or whatever. Like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I think your point earlier about it's not just you're looking for a job, but it's like a 24/7 business card is kind of important. I mean, what are some of the uses that people have for LinkedIn that you see that have sort of moved beyond just the job hunting?
Well, I mean, there's certainly thought leadership. There's another corporate buzzword for you, but being able to, have a brand, but then also put your thoughts out there as to what you think about what's happening in your industry, or sharing your expertise by maybe writing a LinkedIn article or sharing other people's content, sharing posts from maybe accounts that you admire. So it's that like social part.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you think of networking and you think of going to some, cocktail mixer or something like that and meeting people in person, which is important. But then, you can also see people's, profiles. You can see, oh, here's a guy that's really, posting a lot, and I like what this person has to say. Who is this person? It's a little bit about sort of building, the term personal brand sometimes gets made fun of a little bit. But I mean, just letting yourself be out there. I mean, I think there are a lot of advantages to letting people know who you are and what you stand for. And you don't necessarily need to do it to call attention to yourself in a slick kind of way or anything like that. But I mean, there are professional advantages, people you meet who might be, maybe they wind up being clients, or maybe they wind up being future colleagues, or maybe they just have expertise, and maybe you message them and say, hey, do you want to go get coffee? It's just really, I think there are a number of different ways, different advantages to it. It just seems like, there are a lot of people who don't fully take advantage of it.
Right. And, back to the like mistakes or things that I see too would be people will get into this mindset of like what I say of like collecting connections, like it's a numbers game, versus actually like using the connections and actually, connecting with them, like reaching out and saying, hey, do you want to grab coffee virtually or in person? Or, hey, we haven't met in a while. Let's talk. And I think that's super important. It's not really about how many connections you have, but do you know a lot of them? I will sometimes go in and maybe unconnect because I can't remember, or I'll reach out and say, hey, we haven't talked in a long time. Let's fix that.
Yeah, it seems like I get a bunch of connection requests from people I don't know. Like, should people accept those? Or, I mean, you don't want to collect. It's not, like you said, it's not a numbers game, but I kind of would like it to be people I actually know. What do you think about that?
I think, so I do have a lot of connections, but I have, when I connected with them, I did know them in some way. Like I either worked with them, or someone else introduced me. We've had some sort of interaction. So now when people do reach out, I get a lot of those like blind requests as well, people that I don't know. I will either ignore them, to be totally honest, or I'll look at their profile and be like, oh, this would be a good referral partner, or this would be someone who works in the same industry as I do, and we could really connect and bounce ideas off of, or this person just seems cool and I would like to know them. And so then I will message back and say, hey, before we connect, let's actually get to know each other. Do you want to hop on a Zoom? Do you want to do a phone call? Do you want to meet for coffee? So I'll do one of those things. Obviously, you can't do that for every single invitation because LinkedIn is not your job. Your job is actually your job, but I'll do that sometimes.
So what are a couple of easy things that people can do if they're like, okay, I really need to up my LinkedIn game? Like what are a few things they can do?
Let's see. One I would say is make sure your headline, that's the words like beneath your name, make sure that reflects how senior you are, what your industry is, and even kind of the next job that you might want to have. So, maybe you're an account director, but maybe you're really a senior account director. That just gives it a little more, it shows that you have expertise. So make sure that you're really giving yourself all the credit you can in that headline. Look at other people who might be your peers. How do they describe themselves in those very few words that appear below your name? Having a headshot would be good. If you don't, that's kind of like, and then, I really care about how the profile looks. So in addition to your headshot, I really like it when people have a banner image behind them. So it could be the Charlotte skyline. It could be the mountains if they just love the mountains. It could be their college campus, something like that. Just because it makes it look better and it makes you stand out from everyone else.
Oh, that's
who
a
might
good
not.
thought. I'd never thought of that. It's kind of more interesting. It makes it a little more distinctive than just
Yeah,
your...
I think you have a good banner
Well,
shot, if I
thanks.
remember right.
Yeah, I need to look and see what's on there. It might be a few years old. Have
No, if I
no gray
remember right.
hairs. Look a little bit younger, a little more
Yeah.
energetic. Yeah. What about like posting, commenting? How often should people be doing that? What's the best practice there?
Well, so they say like once or twice a day is best practice. And that sounds so overwhelming when I say that to people. So I think at least logging in and looking at your LinkedIn once a day. I do it first thing in the morning when I'm drinking my tea or coffee. So at least get in the habit of logging into LinkedIn, reading your news feed, checking your messages, and maybe liking or commenting. Like that would be first. And then maybe as you see other people posting and you're like, oh, wow, they do a really good job, you could get ideas on what you might actually post as well. I see people talking on LinkedIn all the time about best times to post, best days to post, and it gets like really in the weeds. But I like to tell people, if you're not posting, then the best time to post is right now. It's like anytime, to not post is worse. And I think people are really afraid about posting. They're afraid of not having any likes or not having any, you feel very vulnerable and you feel like you're putting yourself out there. But I get crickets too, but you just have to move on.
But what should you post? I mean, if you're working in a job and you're doing your job, I mean, it's a lot of times you don't want to be overly self-promotional. You don't want to come off as being arrogant or self-centered. I mean, what sort of things should you post?
Yeah. Well, first, follow your company page and you can share things that make you proud or happy to work at your company. Maybe someone is celebrating an anniversary. Maybe your company did a volunteer event or a race event. So you can start by resharing your company's content. Similarly, you could follow other accounts and repost their content that you like. It could be your alma mater. It could be, I like the National Gallery of Arts page. It's one of my favorite pages, and I'm a big reader, so there are some library pages I like, and NPR. So think of your personal interest and follow those pages. And then you can also look at what other people if you're a real estate agent, look at other real estate agent pages and what do they post? They might post when they've sold a home. They might post pictures of happy clients, look at what they're posting and emulate that.
Oh, that's some good advice. I know we've talked a lot about sort of personal pages, but what about companies? Like if you have a business and you have a company LinkedIn page, what sort of things should you be thinking about there? Are those good to have? I mean, how do those differ? What should you do?
Yeah, well, obviously, big companies like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they're going to have LinkedIn pages. I like to also see smaller businesses, solopreneurs. I like to see those businesses also have business pages, and often they don't. And I think it lends credibility. It makes your business look legit and buttoned up and super professional. And, if I'm choosing between, let's say a business lawyer to hire a business lawyer, am I going to pick one who doesn't have a business page or one who does have a business page? Probably the latter, because it's going to tell me more information. It's going to tell me that they are just more professional. So
yeah, it's kind of like having a web page. It's like if you don't have a web page, it's like, you're either super elite or you're kind of unprofessional. Right. I think you need some sort of a presence, and you want to be where the people are. And there are a lot of people on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you have to choose between where you spend your time once you have that business page created, spend your time on your personal page because people connect with people. But use that business page as at least, to lend some credibility.
And just one final question. I know we were talking about this a little bit, before we started taping, but you were saying that a lot of times companies that you work with don't see the value in having their employees have a robust LinkedIn presence, because companies are like, well, why would I want to have people fix up their LinkedIn page so that someone else can hire them and hire them away? But what's in it for companies to have their employees active on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, I like it when companies will invest in like maybe LinkedIn training, or they really care about their employees doing a good job on LinkedIn. And the reason is they are your best storytellers and brand ambassadors. They are a reflection of you, and you know, they make you look good. So you want them to look good, they want you to look good. And so yeah, I think it's smart business when businesses care that their employees are trained on LinkedIn and using it to its full advantage.
Well, great, Amy. Thanks. Good talking with you. And thank you so much for the tips.
Tony, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
That's a wrap. This episode of the Charlotte Ledger Podcast is produced by Lindsey Banks.
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.